The conversation we had with Mr. Dobney is getting quite a bit of good review. And I think that it is important for us to, reflect on it a bit. And so I'd like to look at a few points from that in terms of putting some of it into perspective. Very important. People have been asking for the program to be made available to them. And so in the twilight of governance, where the shadows dance and the whispers of recklessness echoes, Jamaica stands at a crossroad. Even as we speak, my information is that the People's National Party is huddled to find a solution. And among that solution is to find a leader. Based on the information coming to us, the PNP is not convinced that Mr. Golding is capable or is a winnable candidate. That's what Infomedia broke to us moments ago. And that there are polls that have been done since Melissa that suggests that Holness is looking unbeatable and that the Jamaica Labour Party is on its way to a fourth consecutive term. Now, if you are in opposition and you are being faced with this news, you have to make some changes. And so the strategy from the PNP is that whatever disruption that a leadership challenge or a leadership, bid does to the party, it should do it early so that whatever fallout come as a result of that will not affect the party's chances going forward. I see where Mayor Motley in Barbados, she has called a snap election. Yes. I see no reason why Holness may not decide toward 4 years into his term to renew his mandate. Remember, there's nothing preventing a government from going early to the polls. It's 5 years. That is the term. But if you see an opportunity, and you are politically shrewd, then of course, go. What is disappointing though is that so many Jamaicans have a negative view of Mark Golding. And as I said earlier, in conversation with Infomedia, it is quite sad because as Justice Minister, Golding had something going for him. Now, many did not see him as leader. Many were very surprised. As a matter of fact, when after Dr. Phillips left, he, emerged as the leader of the party. But the negative views about Golding ought to concern the party, because he does not come across as a man that can really win. No, he's not a fool. Yeah, he's a lawyer and a fairly good one too. But as a politician, he is no match for Holness, really, Quite frankly, if it was a presidential setup we have in Jamaica, Holness probably would have won 70-30. Today I did something, which may be premature. They have these online systems that you can use to get polling data. And so today I punched in some data in terms of asking the technology, artificial intelligence, to test the strength of Holness versus Golding. And I must tell you, the results are one-sided, really. There is no algorithm that is giving Golding a ghost of a chance against Holness. You can get these out of algorithms. The algorithms studies the views of people online interacting, and you can use artificial intelligence to give you a good prediction. And when I did it today, there's not one area that the algorithm is positive for Golding, right? And I agree with Infomedia that Holness seems to have captured the imagination of Jamaicans, and that spells trouble for the People's National Party at this point. The other point to be made is that Jamaicans seem to have moved beyond partisanship and are now looking to their aspirations within a particular context. And what I am hearing is that these aspirations find currency in Andrew Holness. In other words, there is nothing to be gained to replace him. And so continuity is on the minds of Jamaicans. Jamaicans feel stable. They're feeling safe. They see opportunities coming their way. And so they want to continue. In other words, it is outside of politics, It is human behavior, human development, human aspirations. And it so happens that the Labour Party is the party in power at this time, and the people don't want to change it. Now, I believe that the PNP is faced with all of these negatives. Firstly, they have an unpopular leader who is not liked. His very Jamaican-ness is questioned. There are still people asking questions whether Golding is a Jamaican. Right? So that is an Achilles heel. That's not a positive in a country that emerges from colonialism, where we still are struggling with our identity. Many Jamaicans are still going to the pharmacy to buy cream to tone down themselves. we are still struggling with identity. We don't want to be associated with a leader that we have to be questioning. A leader that needs to go up on a stage to take out a piece of paper to show that he was born here. You start with that as a problem, right? And then the fact that he has not been a statesman. He doesn't show up for national events. He doesn't wear the Jamaican color. He is bad talking Jamaica. Yeah. And he said it on Perry's program, Mr. Bolin did, said that that the party is divided as to the strategy that the opposition is to pursue. That there are some in the party that wants the party to go hard, to be the attack dog, and that there are others who feel that the party ought to commend the things that are good in the country. Yeah. And yeah, that is what he said, that there are divided views. And so his role, he said, is to bring both sides together. But I think Golding will have to define the type of opposition that he wants to lead. And Jamaicans are not seeing a clear, coherent alternative at this time, and that's just a challenge with the People's National Party. You have to present alternatives to the government that are so compelling that the people will be prepared to give you an opportunity. And so the People's National Party, having tasted the bitter fruit of power, now claims a moral high ground to remain in opposition until the nation ills are vanquished. And that is what we are going to be talking about over the next couple of days. For someone have sent me an idea that the People's National Party is to remain in opposition until Jamaica is at a place where it cannot be reversed. Think about that. Yes? The idea is, let the PNP remain in opposition until Jamaica is fixed. And the suggestion goes further, that we must institutionalize agencies and systems that ensures that if they return to power, they cannot be reckless as they were for that 18 and a half years. And it goes further to say that we must build into the Constitution a system of recall, that if the PNP ever returns to power and start farm fool, the Constitution must allow for a recall. In other words, never again is Jamaica to ever get to the place where we're killing 1,700 people per year, high debt and high taxes, scandals and corruption, yes, and a sense of hopelessness. The gains that the country would have made over the last decade must be preserved for the generations that are coming after us. So there's a brilliant piece that we have working on in the notes. I have just outlined it to you. Because the ledger, I'm coming to you guys, the ledger of history shows that the PNP's 18 and a half years although there were some strides, yes, but it was scarred by the whispers of fiscal imprudence and what is called institutional strain, right? And so the recklessness, like a shadow, precedes them. And the suggestion is that Jamaica cannot afford them to return. Think about that. That people are now saying that Jamaica must fix first before you even consider putting the PNP back. And when we say fix, there's a 10-year plan, You labor rights, listen, there's a 10-year plan that, which means that the PNP cannot come back to power in at least 10 more years, which is the period of time that Jamaica needs to recover, and then to start to build, which means that the suggestion is that the PNP needs to stay in opposition for 20 years, 2 decades. And so after 20 years, Jamaica would have recovered and would be now pressing. I'll be an old man then. I probably will not live to see it. But then the suggestion is that should they ever return, that the country's institutions would be so strong legislatively, by constitution, by law, that the PNP would be bound to follow the systems of government. And as I said earlier, that a constitutional amendment is put in place that recalls them if they ever go in there and start, forming the fool. What a paper. Only on Politics Plus you'll get that in Neighbors Notes coming up over the next couple of days. You can't afford to miss it. The safeguarding of the democracy. The safeguarding of the democracy. Martin Luther King Jr. says that the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice. The arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice. And Jamaica needs to get into a covenant that prioritizes resilience over expediency. Resilience over expediency. Vigilant, critical, and constructive until the nation is unshakable and strong. We have to build the society to the point where no government coming after this one can mash it up. So you have to legislate to protect this vision. Yes? You need legislation to protect the vision. You have to enshrine recall mechanisms. And you have to fortify institutions. For in Jamaica's strength lies the hope of its people. Jamaica's strength, the hope of its people. So the journey is a tapestry woven with threads of resilience and folly since independence. I'm coming to you, my brother. Since independence, it's folly and resilience. We have gone off on a lot of tangents, tried a lot of things, and they haven't worked. And I think what we have agreed is that this path is working. This is the path. We have long searched for a path. And finally, in my old age, we have found the path. I would have loved if Jamaica had found this path when I was 20 years old, 25. Yes, I would have loved if we had found this path. But thank God we have found the path. We don't need any other trial and errors. We don't need no more exploiting. We don't have oil here. What we have is our people. And our people are our greatest resources. We must develop our people so they can build our country, put up the guardrails so that we can secure our future. Right? No folly. We can't get into exploitations again. Testing this, testing that. No, that is done. We have chosen Jamaica. And you note I didn't say we choose the JLP. We choose Jamaica. And the choosing of Jamaica transcends politics. It transcends PNP and it transcends JLP. The stakes are too high for complacency. Vigilance have to be the watchword. Institutional strength must be the shield, and accountability must be our guiding star. Right? We cannot surrender the gains that we have made. We cannot surrender the gains to recklessness. Can't surrender the gains to recklessness. And so this is beyond partisan politics. The democracy echoes a call. The call that is being echoed is for us to transcend partisan politics, the shackles of partisanship that have long tethered our progress. Right? And so one party will have to be kept in opposition, and another party has to be kept in government for the nation to thrive. Because the pain of our past is a catalyst for change. You hear me tell you? The pain of our past must be the catalyst for change. Jamaica's history is etched with struggles. Many of our people suck salt through a wooden spoon. Tax after tax after tax after tax after tax. Sufferation after sufferation after sufferation. Wage freezes. The dreams of many Jamaicans were dashed. Many died and never saw. You know what the flag means? Black, green, and gold. You know what it means? Hardship there are. But the land is green and the sun shines. That's the black is for hardship. The green is a prosperity. You laborites, you laborites must be happy about that. The green is a prosperity. The land is green and the yellow is the sun shining. Many Jamaicans died and they did not see the sun. The hope When the Union Jack came down at the National Stadium in 1963 and the black, green, and gold was raised, people cried. People cried. And I will tell you this, that there are many Jamaicans who live to regret it. 1962. Many Jamaicans regretted that the Union Jack was replaced with our flag when they saw how we messed up our independence, right? And then we turned back to ask for reparations. When Jamaica's history is etched with struggles. From the colonialism, brutal legacy, to the debt quagmire of recent decades. Yet in these pains lies an opportunity. You know, they have what is called traumatizing pain. Those of you who are women, you know what I'm talking about. Birth pains. And suppose I pause to tell you something. Do you know why women feel pain at birth? Do you know that the birth process could be painless? You know why women feel such great pain? It's for bonding. Because can I tell you this? That if women didn't feel any pain giving birth, a lot of them would have left the baby at the hospital, you know. It is a pain that links the woman to the child. Can a woman give up the pain of her womb? No. The psychologist will tell you that pain is what bonds the mother to the child. She remembers the pain to bring it into the world. She will never leave that. Okay? So it's part of bonding with the child. So the pain that Jamaica has felt bonds us to our country. That's why we don't want to leave it. It's because we have suffered with the country. We are bonded to Jamaica by our struggles, collective struggles, which is why many people take this personal. Where we are, people take it personally. We must go back. We can't afford to go back. It has cost us too much. Like the mother who, and you know, did you know that the deeper the pain, the greater the love? Ask women if the one where pain her the most, not the one she loved the most. The deeper the pain is, the greater the love. And so, you know, there is what you call traumatizing pain into power. Traumatizing pain into power. And here now we find that our shared hardships galvanize a collective resolve to craft a people-owned future. And that is part of what has been missing. That the people of Jamaica don't own their future. You have had decades of fiscal mismanagement, which would have left scars. You know, the scars of the 90s, still lingers in the minds and in the hearts of Jamaicans. Crime, inequality, distrust, they all plagued the society. These aren't partisan issues. They are symptoms of a system where the people are often spectators, not stakeholders. And so what we need to do is to create a paradigm shift where we no longer become spectators, but we become stakeholders. And I make this appeal to you, listeners. Stop being a spectator in your own country. Become a stakeholder. In other words, you have to own the future. Right? You have to own Jamaica. The government must not just be transactional. A game between two parties, but a collaborative project of citizens. This is a people-owned future. And I'm outlining to you the Politics Plus, what Politics Plus is pursuing. We're building not spectators. We don't want spectators, shareholders in what is called Company Jamaica. We are shareholders. And we must not sit down and allow our stake in Jamaica to be destroyed by anyone. The future must be owned by the people. So we fortify the institutional strength, fortify checks and balance to ensure government, PNP or JLP, can unilaterally, no government should be able to unilaterally delay or derail our progress. It's about putting the people in control. Right? And I'm suggesting that we need to look at a legislated recall process for governments that falter. It's not about vendetta. It's about empowerment. Because power is never the possession of an individual. It's always vested in a group. No one person owns power. Power is vested in a group. And so we are transcending the political, the partisan exploits. Both parties have contributed to Jamaica's cycle of bloom and bust. One party would have done more to bloom the country. We have to break that mold. We have to break that mold and get more involved in brand Jamaica. Okay, more on that tomorrow. We hope to explore that a little bit more tomorrow and probably Sunday. Harry?
Your neighbor. Night, everybody. Night, Caroline.
Good night, Harry.
Harry, let me hear you on the news that the PNP is looking at its leadership. That the leadership up there at Hope Road is in a quandary. They don't feel that they are making any progress and their leader is not gaining any traction. What's happening?
Well, the truth, neighbor, I think it's just surfacing, getting a little bit more traction now. Because directly after the election, they had to have a public meeting to put out a message that they stand behind Mr. Golding, which even at that time, it wasn't the truth, and it still isn't, because they're looking at potential candidates. The party is still somewhat divided, not to the level that it was in 2020, but it was really a patchwork that they did to present a face to the people of Jamaica. Now we're seeing where the skeleton may be let out of the closet, neighbor, and they have to now do the real work, right, to rebuild, because I think they have seen enough now to say, listen, Mr. Golden really and truly can't take us across the line for the next 4 or 5 years. And he has never pretty much done himself justice, if I want to use that word, in the arena, in the political arena as the party leader. And definitely there's no glory for him since the election and Melissa issue, because he has not presented the people for them with enough for them to say, listen, we're seeing him not just trying, but also turning up for the people of Jamaica, not just for 405,000 people, but for Jamaica and Jamaicans. So he hasn't given the people that for them to look at him to say yes. And I think the People's National Party internally are realizing that. And as such, they're now trying to do the work that they should have done properly in 2020.
You are saying that you are agreed, and you're putting on your hat now as a political analyst. You agree that the PNP is left with no option but to replace Golding at this time?
They have to, neighbor, especially with the fact that, truthfully, I believe that the People's National Party is having somewhat of an identity crisis. They don't know what direction to truly turn, because Mr. Golding still represents the pain of the past, right? Especially what would have happened in the 90s. That is more than just a bitter medicine now for Jamaicans to swallow. It is a level of psychological pain that is etched on the minds of not just one or two generations, neighbor, because it actually affected several, right?
Yes.
And as such, the more they see him, the more they're reminded of somebody who had a hand in one of the worst, if not the worst, situation in Jamaica's history. And as such, people will never forget that the more they see him. Of course, even the type of politics that is being practiced by the opposition, it is one that is beyond aggressive. It is, as Scratchy would say, it's not statesman-like anymore. It is one that is getting a little bit too out of hand. And you would have heard me stated that the political arena changed with Mr. Holness in 2016. We're no longer practicing that kind of politics, a tribalistic and tear down individual of that nature. And that is something I think the PNP went back for heavily, as they would have done with, for example, Mr. Edward Siaga. That is something they employed beyond. If not, I could probably go as far as to say, I think Mr. Holness has been targeted even greater than Mr. Siaga. And because they got the success with Mr. Siaga, maybe they think that lightning can strike the same place twice. But the electorates and the people of Jamaica have been liberated mentally. They've been able to be experienced and exposed to good management, to something that is better, something that they've never, I don't want to say the consistency of how improving this administration has been, how many, achievements they've done with limited resources. I mean, the landmark of that crime situation, neighbor, first in 30 years, we've gone that low. And as such, people are now saying, listen, you were still politically affiliated back then when we had high numbers, and you have now, as the opposition, still being unable to even give credit to where credit is due. while not necessarily giving us a good alternative. And
Yeah.
as such, if you're even Mhm.
Do you think, Harry, that in looking at what you have said, that maybe the PNP initially missed a mark when they when they elected Golding as leader, because he probably was already tainted by the FinSAC debacle.
He was, neighbor, he was, but
Ah.
they, and this is looking from outside looking in, is that what Mr. Golding represents, and the People's National Party can deny it as much as they want, but Mr. Golding represents access to resources that no one currently has in that party, specifically those who public faces, put it that way, right? They may have persons in the back end, but Mr. Golding represents access to a level of resources, neighbor, that I don't see even the next representative coming up for them or next leader for them
So
would have, or the candidates that we
it's
see.
the ability to raise funds for the party.
Yes, neighbor, right? He's a shrewd businessman. He has connections and network. And that was something I think the People's National Party needed for survival after what happened in 2020. And as such, the truth is they are now pretty much have to pivot to find another identity, because Mr. Golding doesn't have a lot remaining in the tank to carry the People's National Party. Specifically, the fact that his political stock has fallen while Mr. Holness one has actually constantly increased.
Yeah, that's what I hear Infomedia saying to us earlier, that there is some testing of the waters out here, and it appears as if Holness continues to grow in stature. Problems in the camp of the PNP, Harry. It will have to unfold over the next coming days. Yeah, we should see it.
I mean, neighbor, they will do a lot to cover it up, to still, show a united face like any other group and any other party would do. But the truth is, and we would have gone a little in terms of this, neighbor, is that they have to really and truly undo a lot of things, right? They have to strip down themselves to the people of Jamaica and rebuild to become who Jamaica want, right? And at the moment, and I say want because clearly Jamaica has seen that Mr. Holness is who they need based on what is happening. And as such, it will take the People's National Party some time to properly reinvent themselves properly for the people of Jamaica to accept them again, because they are far off the mark currently. In terms of representation, it is not looking good on their end, both in terms of local government wise and even central government itself.
One other thing Infomedia said also, Harry, is that the politics in Jamaica is changing, where people are not as partisan as they were before, and they are now looking at their own life, their aspirations, and that they are seeing it coming to the fore. And as a result of that, they are likely to remain supportive of Holness. Do you think that's a good point?
It is, neighbor. It has a lot of tenets to it. It's very, very valid, because what we've seen is that I've never, from my time, I've never heard of a set of people constantly chanting the name of any one prime minister that hard, right?
Yes.
And it is one in which it is not even so much the party, because you would have heard people say Edward Siaga and the JLP, or Shower and so on, Bruce Golding, Mama P for the People's National Party, because they are now looking at him. He is the target man. He's the man that they put all the stock in, all their trust in to get them over, because he is a proven person, and he's also someone who they see a man of the soil, right? And I say man of the soil because they can identify with his life struggles coming up. That is the average Jamaica living in those times coming up. And he has overcome it so much in a level now that he is not just representing them, but he's the beacon of hope who has delivered in a personal stance. He has delivered as a member of parliament, even as a minister, to so much that he's now head of state and he continues to deliver. And that is a track record that he has, a trusted one by the people. And as such, they won't let go of that trusted record. Because the truth is, they don't see an alternative currently.
Yeah. So we have gotten our hands on a document, Harry, that suggests that the TNP is to remain in opposition until Jamaica is economically resilient, peaceful, and safe as a political strategy. You understand what they are saying here, that the PNP is to remain in opposition until Jamaica is resilient and strong and its gains cannot be reversed. That's an indictment on the PNP for people to be thinking like this, Harry.
Neighbor, it is one in which that would pretty much be almost like things are automatic. Because when you say they want to ensure that it cannot be reversed, it may even take more than a decade of work to be done. And what that is doing is now ostracizing the People's National Party for them to stay.
What I'm seeing from this strategy here is that they are to strengthen institutions and have recall legislation, where that if the PNP ever get in and mess up, they will be forced to call it elections. Amazing stuff.
Yes, and I think that neighbor, myself as a 14-year-old at the time, who started understanding that we didn't have continuity with good policies, right? So I've been in and around the politics from a very tender age. And I could have never understood why, when we change parties, the policies change.
Yes.
Especially when they were so good. And that, for me, the first thing that came out was, right, first thing that came to me was that we were now wasting limited resources, which is never good for a small member state like us. We don't have it in abundance, right? It's not like, for example, we have oil and those things that can back us.
Yes.
And that was one of the major things. Now, I think we've done well to have established certain institutions. I think the problem I'm having is that the people who are at the helm of these institutions need to be held at a high level, because we've seen it. For example, what Mr. George Davis would have mentioned, an institution attempting to sway the election. No, it is not the institution that's a problem. Institution serves its purpose, but the people who are in high management need to be weeded out. These people need to be removed, and you put competent persons who are for Jamaica, who are patriotic, and you'll get the best out of these institutions regardless of which party is in power. And I think that article itself is one in which we want these institutions to be so robust that it is not easily swayed by any one political party or parties.
I'll give you some other insight. You can comment on them as I go. So they make a compelling case for continuity. Yes? And they have listed five cases for the JLP to continue in power. And this is for 2 decades, Harry. That we're talking about 20 years before the PNP can even think about coming back. It's a devastating blow for the PNP. The first one is that they say that the legacy of the Jamaica Labour Party must be protected, highlight the JLP's achievement, and warn that the PNP's return risk undoing gains made. The PNP return risk undoing the gains made. Harry, that's the first point.
Well, with that neighbor, we've seen it. Well, when you look at what the administration has done in the short time, because the People's National Party has undo a lot of things and in twice that time, which is 18 years. I think it is one that has to be protected by the Jamaica Labour Party, and it has to be one that is sent down generations to generations, because that's how you will achieve that 2-decade time span that they're looking to achieve. But the truth is, we finally gotten the time to compare and contrast the terms, right? 18 years of one and see what achievements was there. And now you've gotten 9 to 10 years of the Jamaica Labour Party and see what they've done. And as such, that is how you preserve it. That is how you highlight the difference between both political parties in their long-term reign. And as such, that is something in which is something in which the people need to know. It's not want to know. It's not an if or but statement. It is one that has to be done so the people of Jamaica can understand what they're getting, where they were, and see how best they can make the right decision with as much information as possible.
Yeah. Before I go on to point number 2, it says the JLP's achievement in governance, like economic reforms, infrastructure development, and social programs, are tangible. Highlighting these while pointing to the PNP's history of challenges, crime spikes, economic struggles, make a case for sticking with what's working. It's about safeguarding Jamaica's advancement. So here is this group suggesting that Jamaica must stick with what is working. Harry, do you agree with them?
You have to, neighbor. You have to. We remember, we've seen when you switch, when you give somebody else another chance after groundwork is being laid, you get to see that you've taken 2 steps out but 3 steps back, and as such, you're worse off than where you were before. And in the light of continuity and sticking to the evil that that is actually working, compared to the unknown evil, which has not given you enough to say, yes, choose them, they can do better. Because remember, the People's National Party for that 18 year has created a face and has created something that the people of Jamaica is now fully rejecting. They don't want to go back. They represent the past. They represent the mistakes made by a generation or generations before them. And as such, they want to ensure that we're not going to make the same mistakes our parents made, because we've seen the long-term suffering that it's caused. We've seen how it has pegged back a wonderful nation with great human resources. And as such, they want to ensure that doesn't come back again.
Yeah. Well, listeners, I'm discussing a document that has been pushed under my door. It's about isolating the PNP and turning 89 Hollow Road into a museum. Serious stuff right here on Politics Plus. You can't afford to go anywhere. Stay right where you are. It's a gripping document. Wow. The second point, Harry, is peace over peril. It says that Jamaica's stability is fragile. The JLP can tout its role in maintaining relative peace and security, contrasting with the PNP's tenure marked by unrest and high crime. They said voters might ask, do we risk that stability with a change? They say Jamaica is to choose peace over peril. That's a strong point, Harry.
Neighbor, it is, and it goes to show the actual perspectives on both parties at current state, and also the history of both. Yes. Because the present is peace that is representing Mr. Holness's administration and the work that they've done.
No.
Right. And the thing about it is that even to the very state, the opposition is still not showing to conform to that which the people is aspiring to. And this is why I said they have an identity crisis. And opposition's past is perilous because we've
Wow.
seen what it has done to the nation. That is how the people of Jamaica has seen them. And with a lot of actions we've seen since the election and even Melissa, they still identify strongly with some of those times.
Yes,
And
sir.
that is giving the people, every time they do something of this nature, that doesn't help the people of Jamaica. The people revert to saying, listen, you're still showing the signs of who you were. You know, they said, show me your friends and I'll tell you who you are. The People's National Party almost seem as if it doesn't matter where they go or what they do, they stick to their nature. And that nature is something the people of Jamaica is rejecting. They no longer subscribe to. And as such, I don't know if the People's National Party has not gotten the message just yet, because to be rejected for 3 terms is saying something strong. A lot of countries around the world don't reject a party that much. And for the People's National Party, no, to be rejected 3 times on the go, it says a lot. And peril, I think, for a lot of Jamaicans may not even do it justice, neighbor. I mean, we've lost, 44 in FinSac era and so on in the 90s, we've lost 44,000 businesses, persons unalive themselves. We've lost the of a society at that time, because that middle class was brewing with great ideas and advancement for Jamaica, and it never got taken off the ground.
Yeah. Listeners, a little birdie drop a document over my fence today, and it makes for interesting reading. They drop a document over my fence, little birdie drop it, and I got up this morning and somebody pushed something on my door, that the PNP, there's a plan to keep the PNP in opposition for 20 years. Good God. I'm reading from it. There are five pillars here. We're just at number 2. We're coming to number 3. Stay tuned. Always pushing things under my door. I can't take any more. The third one, Harry, is say painful past, positive path. The PNP's 18.5 years include episodes like FinSac, financial crises, and social issues. The JLP can use this history to argue they are the better choice. They have led Jamaica through reforms and growth, offering a positive path forward. Painful path, past, positive path. The rhyming eloquently there, Harry. Painful past, positive path. Wow.
It definitely, neighbor, waxing lyrical, definitely. And it shows, neighbor, when you say path, right? One that provides promise. And,
Yes.
and this is for Jamaica. It's a path that has been trodden in Jamaica's history to this magnitude, right? And that is something the people of Jamaica is consciously choosing. So it doesn't matter what persons may say, oh, who have 28 seats and 405,000 votes. The fact remains, the majority of the people have selected that path that they want to journey to. In fact, they may see it even as much as a promised land. That is a pathway going to the promised land. And
Positive
they're
path.
on the right track. Right. Because, neighbor, it is seen so positive for many reasons. Right? They've looked at the 2 major disasters that the nature has presented to the world, so sad that we got the 2. The biggest hurricane recorded in modern history for the region, and also a pandemic. And why it's a positive path, despite those 2 disasters that shut down and almost can cripple if you weren't fiscally responsible and shrewd in your management, it could have set us back further. But the people have said it's a positive path because we came out of both situations stronger. And yes, we're still going through in terms of the recovery of Melissa, but people are seeing a light at the end of the tunnel for Melissa. And Melissa just happened a few months ago, neighbor. That is not something the people is taking lightly. And it's positive because they're saying, listen, the world came to our aid. We're fiscally better. We are responsible in how we're doing things. And people has bought into that, neighbor. It's a collective, a value consensus agreed upon by the people of Jamaica, right? Not just those who have voted, but if you listen to people who are undecided or may consider to want to vote, the message is different from 10, 15 years ago, right? And as such, it is in that light that people is saying, yes, it's a positive path and I can stick with this path because I've seen what the alternative was and I'm seeing what the alternative is, and it does not take me even down to this path.
Yes.
And that is why the people are looking to stick with that. And it's a good twist to it as well, neighbor. Right?
Yes.
And this is why I said the People's National Party needs to...
The party doesn't have this document yet, you know. I tell you something, it's top notch. And they pushed it under my door and they asked me to review it. And I am to make a presentation. Doing a little bit of work on it. Let me see. I tell you. Yep. Neighbor rights stepping up. Neighbor rights coming together to keep the PNP in opposition. My God. Harry, the fourth one is that they say that when you compare, it's called proven performance. They said numbers tell a story. They said the JLP must highlight metrics like GDP growth, tourism boost, employment rates under their watch, and compare these to the PNP's record. Makes a data-driven case for continuity. What they're saying is that the party is to use data to prove that the people of Jamaica must continue and that they are proven performers. The party is proven its performance, Harry.
They have, neighbor, right? They definitely have. And you know my thing on it with the data. You see, when it comes down to the economics of Jamaica, I don't think Jamaicans have yet grasped what that means. For example, the tourism ministry and the tourism sector has been taken for granted, meaning we've become so accustomed to eclipsing our numbers every year. We take it for the norm, right? So much that it can almost become delusional, neighbor. Here's why. We just had Melissa, right? And people heard the Minister of Tourism saying, listen, we're getting up back on the bike and we're going to be ready for December 15. While making that statement, we would have gone 4 cruise ships already. And people look at it to say, well, it's tourism. We're going to always get big numbers.
Yes.
And if we look at the numbers where they are currently and what was projected, we aren't really that far off, you know. We may not hit the numbers, but it is not that far off. And the funny thing is that it is still extremely good numbers, but we're going to take it for granted because it becomes the new norm. And that is something we've also been talking about, you know, raising the bar to a level where the people see it now as, you know, we need to do more. We need to be better. We need higher numbers, while not realizing that we've never hit these numbers before. We've never achieved these things before. But because over time, we've been besting ourselves. We've been doing personal records every time. People now see it and say, oh, sure, you know, we're going to always do this. But it is not something should be taken lightly. And that is the issue the government may have with actually communicating this to the people. I realize that when you speak of Jamaican economics, neighbor, it is not broken down to the level of the average man enough.
Yes.
And the Jamaica Labour Party, if they want to remain as the party for governance, they have to ensure they can bring this down to Miss Pam up in one part and Mass Rai over one hill and down one valley. Because this is what you do. You need as much people to understand your work. Because the numbers will tell a story, but not everybody will understand that story. And that is why you have to use many medium, or rather media, because that's the plural, to get this to the people. And that is a challenge they will have. So hitting these numbers is good. It's great for the country, right? Economical wise, global standards, we're high up there. But the people, it needs to be translated to the people, the very people that are actually being a part of it. They're actually contributing to it, but they don't understand how. And the more they can understand it, they'll see how it actually translates into their day-to-day lives.
Yeah. The final one, Harry, is called preserving the prosperity. And they say economic gains under the JLP, like debt restructuring and investment in key sectors, are worth preserving. They say the PNP's past economic missteps, perceived or real, is to be used to argue that the JLP is better equipped to sustain Jamaica's prosperity. Preserving prosperity, Harry, finally.
Well, preserving the prosperity, neighbor, it is one in which has never been far-fetched of the Jamaica Labour Party works. We've always heard it that they are the better party in terms of governing a country. And as such, it is something people is used to with them. But now is a time where they have gotten a canvas that is going forward, painting a beautiful picture. And you have to now garnish that canvas, protect the work that has been done already. And we're in almost at a crossroads, neighbor, where do you continue where we are and help protect it and preserve it? Or do we change something? And that is very concerning, because we know the work that has been done, but I don't think enough has been put in to preserve it. A great deal has been put in to achieve what they achieved, but not enough to protect it as they go along. And that is why, if there's a change, and based on the perspective of the opposition, the people feel that this prosperity can easily be erased. And that's why we hear a lot of persons calling for a fourth term, and we're just in a third term and all of that. So they're looking well ahead. And if they do get a fourth term, that is the people saying we can preserve it. Now, it is the People's National Party history does not align well. It doesn't stand up. Their best period in government does not stand up to Mr. Holness and his administration right now, who has also done less time with less resources. And that compare and contrast is what the people is looking at, why we can say preserve the prosperity. And we've been hearing for prosperity from 2016 coming up. But it is now not just a saying anymore for the people. It is one that is being lived. So it becomes not just a dream, but a lived reality. And people want to continue living this reality, living the dream that they dreamt a decade ago. And now they're dreaming new dreams. And what they're seeing is that the only administration or the leader that they think can ensure that they now live the new dreams that they're dreaming now for 4, 5, 6 years down the road is Mr. Holness. And as such, a very people will fight for this preservation of prosperity. And the administration has to also ensure that they do justice and do right by the people by keep on besting themselves, set personal PRs, right? Personal records every single time. Because I can tell you this, neighbor, that is a standard they've been set for themselves. And I know in which, people will say, especially I heard from Mr. Perry, we're looking back and so on. But the truth is, people have now looked back and see where we're coming from because we want to know where we're going. And sooner rather than later, people will no longer be looking back to the 90s and early 2000s for the mismanagement because what? They would have been exposed to new standards. And like I said before, this administration will only be judged by the standards they set. So they'll be judged by themselves. So who to tell in the next, by 2030, the narrative is going to be what they have done 2025 or in 2020, can they do better? Not what they can best in 90s and early 2000s. And that's a very tricky thing if you're an opposition as well, neighbor, right? And even more tricky when it comes on to you being the administration, because guess what? While the people are dreaming the dreams,
Yes.
you have to find the ways continually to ensure that you meet those dreams and exceed. Which means, as a leader, you also have to have dreams that you don't even think you can achieve, but you're going to work nonetheless. Because your dreams are tied to the very aspiration and dreams of the people. So you have no time to rest on your laurels. You have to deliver and constantly deliver. Refresh, replenish, and move forward every single time because the bar is being risen further and the people are demanding more, not because they're greedy or because they just want more, but because they truly believe that the administration and the leader can deliver more as well.
Yeah, two more points, Harry. Beyond they said partisan politics, they said that it's a Jamaica pact of a people-owned future. They said that the Jamaican democracy, that a clarion call must be echoed to transcend partisan shackles that have long fettered our progress. And they are saying that the best thing for Jamaica is for the PNP to remain in opposition until Jamaica is economically resilient, peaceful, and safe. And they said this is to be the political strategy of the Jamaica Labour Party. And it must be a reckoning, right? That we must leverage the pain of the past and forge a future where the people are sovereign, no pawns in a political game. The question I'm asking, though, Curry, is that how long is that going to be?
Well, neighbor, I'll put it like this. And I know, people look at for a specific time, but I think my personal view is that it is more so how long it will take the opposition to turn around the views of the people on them. And I say that because we can say, yes, the administration and Jamaica Labour Party is doing exceptional work and continue to do so.
Yes.
And we may say this could be a decade or 2 decades. But the truth is, nothing lasts forever. No empire reigns supreme forever.
Correct.
And whether that time can be shortened or lengthened is actually up to how the opposition presents themselves for the future. And that future starts now.
Yes.
So they are the ones who determine the time frame that they want to either stay out of power.
I put you there to explain that one of the because if you look at the thesis here, one of the point that has been made is that having studied the opposition's manifesto and listened to their spokesperson, these writers are pointing to the fact that the PNP is risky based on their ideology, their philosophical underpinnings, and their rhetoric, Harry, that the risk is too great. And because you just say that no empire rules forever, that at some point they will return to government is a democracy. This paper is suggesting that Jamaica must first establish certain criteria, ensure its economic resilience before we are able to take that risk. But I'm asking you, Harry, how long is that going to be? When do you think Jamaica can reach the point of no reversing? In other words,
Well,
when can we come out of fragility? Because you see what happened with the hurricane Melissa. You see that the economy remains still relatively fragile.
It is, neighbor, and by the nature and our geographical location, neighbor, our economy will have some level of fragility to it. In all honesty, based on what we do depend on, and I know there's a cry for diversification, which is actually being done at many different levels. Some I will not mention just yet because of sensitive information. I'll let that come out when it should. And people will be able to see that. But the truth is, why I say it is down to the opposition is that they have to be able to put some doubt in the people's mind about the current administration, which simply translates to they have to be able to be a viable opposition, one that the people may look at them and say, listen, you're no longer rated a ND, right? You're now able to say, listen, you've been showing us alternatives, you've been working for the people, you've been raising your political stock, you've been lowering, you're being risk averse for the people to choose you, and as such, we may consider you. Right now, the People's National Party are not one that is viable for the people to consider. They've said it. They've done it at the poll, and I don't think the opposition can get it any clearer right now. So that in itself, neighbor, can take another term, 2 terms. If the opposition gets it right, maybe in 2 terms. But the truth, looking at it economically, at this standpoint, is that this in itself, and this is not me giving, to say JLP will be there for 2 terms, but look at the work that needs to be done. Look at where we want to be, because I know 2030 is just around the corner. And I think achieving that level of resilience does not come in just another term. And I say that specifically because of what we've seen with Melissa. Our economy, and this is just me choosing a natural disaster because this is one that will reoccur. And the thing about it is that we will get stronger disasters, stronger hurricanes, more frequent and so on. And that is one of the major measurement that we will be tested on to see how well we are resilient economically. Institutional wise, we may get it right within 10 years. But the economy, there are some things that are being done now that will take time. And that is where continuity comes into play. Yes. Right? We have to be, our rebuild and recovery has to be new. We have to change the very people's mind as to how we build forward, not just in a physical state, but financially, physically, and psychologically, because the decisions of the people will impact how our government governs, and we have to take that into consideration. And to elevate the people's decision-making process is one that will take you some time, because 70 brothers, 7 different minds. And that in itself is a process we've seen happening, because we're no longer, for example, in a tribalistic predominance. And that itself took almost 2 decades to achieve, right? But we're getting there. And as such, it is 2 things that will be tied. The opposition has to become a seriously viable option. The administration also has to blunder to put doubts in the people's mind as well. And if those 2 things don't collide, it just might be longer than what we even see put in front of us.
I'm running ahead of myself here, but I looked at the marketing public relations section of this paper. And I see where they are suggesting that fear should be introduced. In other words, part of the marketing strategy being recommended to the party is that they should cause the people to have a fear of returning. In other words, show the people what it was like under the People's National Party. Be graphic about it. In other words, bring it into their reality today so that the people do not take for granted what they are experiencing now. Do you think that is a good suggestion, or you think it is fraught with risk?
It is for me, I think it's a risk worth taking, neighbor. Here's why.
It's a risk worth taking.
It is, neighbor, right? Because I think there is enough from what I've seen from the current administration is one in which they have enough in the tank to take this risk and still recover if it doesn't work. Here's why. The opposition now is very lowly, and they are somewhat divided, and I'm thinking in terms of public sphere. I know they are divided greater than what they put out, and that makes it a little bit less risky for the Jamaica Labour Party to take that chance. But here's why it's worth it, neighbor. Human beings give a reaction from fear. So, for example, fear of missing out. You also have the negative fear to say, listen, I don't want to go down that road again. And the thing about it is that this generation, the new generation, the one coming after, they would not have the privilege, and I'm choosing that word carefully, because we've learned a lot from what happened in the early 2000s and in the 90s. They do not have the privilege of going through those tested times, but they are able to have gotten the information from it, from generation that went through it. And as such, they themselves don't have to suffer all those consequences. But what you can't allow is for those same people, in terms of the generation now, to go to the polls without understanding what happened then. Because being born or coming up through a generation where things are a little easier, challenging, yes, but it is nothing like what your parents or your parents faced. It simply means you are now, some people say blessed, some people say you're privileged to be in this time. And the truth is, there's no greater time in history of any society where we've seen this great advancement, right? And as such, you can't let the generation that will go to the polls and decide to take what they have now for granted because they weren't able to see the work that was done, right? And as such, that has to be translated in a manner where you not just compare and contrast, but you bring it down to the people's level to say, listen, this is what we achieved here. This is what we had to work with. The reason why we had this to work with is because of what happened then. So you have to teach the people, and I'm speaking of the younger generation now, to appreciate, firstly, what they've been born into, to even more appreciate what they have going into, and to understand the process, the devastating process that got them to where they were, right? Which is the generation before. And as such, they can then have a full and a wholesome picture when going to the polls.
Fantastic. I'm going to pick up this back tomorrow on Sunday. Interesting. I understand that the view is that the next election is to be a mere formality that the people should just recognize continuity. Not going to change any government. It's a mere formality in 2030, 2029, whenever that election is called. More from that, got some information. And We're opening the lines at this time. If you are listening to us and you want to ask a question, you want to make a comment, or you want to have a discussion on a subject related or unrelated, it's your time. Please send us a request, and Harry is here. He can answer your questions, and you can come up and we can talk. All right, great. Okay, so we're waiting on your request. 6 minutes after 10 o'clock, okay? All right, then, Harry, I think that our listeners are quite okay with the presentation so far. So, they're quite fine. Listening and okay. I think that we're gonna have to.
Neighbor.
Yes.
I think Harry has left us speechless. So maybe a little music to on.
They're shocked. We will pick up this tomorrow because I think it is very very interesting in Harry in terms of your own indication the other night of preserving the legacy and of us understanding where we are as a country and how we are going to press forward. Harry, it's worth discussing some more. Okay.
It is, neighbor. It is, and I think it's a different perspective to look at the political arena, to look at governance as well, and how both have a level of interdependence, right? And that tight relationship, so that people can understand that, listen, if you can understand how governance work, you will then also be able to understand politics, because both goes hand in hand that impact your life. And it's about time we were able to empower the people with clarity and information so that they can then seek more information for themselves and even be better. Because the truth is, we've never had much information on both simultaneously. It's not something even myself growing up had that much access to. I had to seek it a lot and being very I don't want to say very strong-willed in trying to get certain information in society, because a lot of things are they said have gatekeepers. But we're breaking down those gates, neighbor.
Yeah, Harry. The whole matter of economic bondage is addressed. They say that decades of fiscal mismanagement have left scars. The PNP therefore needs to isolate themselves so that the nation can heal from the scars. Do you think that those scars are still unhealed, Harry?
They are, neighbor. They
Wow.
are. Many persons may not want to speak publicly about it. And the truth is, a lot of people, in society have tried to heal in unhealthy ways, and that also complex things. So we want to actually be able to air it out, to understand where the people are hurting and to heal healthily, right? Because it is a force of nature that you'll do what you have to do to survive. And a lot of times that can be just as detrimental to the existence of a lot of our social fabric, if I want to put it that way.
Yeah. And then they spoke of the social fractures, crime, inequality, and distrust plague us. These aren't partisan issues, they are symptoms of a system where the people are often spectators, not stakeholders. And so the call, Harry, finally, is that the people must become stakeholders in their future. Makes sense, eh?
Of course, neighbor, because I you see the funny thing about it, and I'm happy Mr. Perry raised the definition for politics. That was engraved in who gets what, when, and how,
Yeah.
and not take into consideration the people's interests. It's all about a distribution factor, which leaves and ostracizes the very people who should be stakeholders, who should have a say. Because I've grown up hearing say, listen, the people have the power. But I think what past administrations have successfully done is to strip the people of that power by a mental game that they play. So if they hold on to certain resources, the people then conform, thinking that the smallest number that holds power is the most powerful one. And that, to be honest, neighbor, comes from the very strategies of slavery. And I say that with, I don't even want to say with all due respect, but I blatantly state it because studying slavery, these were some of the tactical maneuvers made by persons who are in the smallest numbers to think that they are the most powerful ones.
Yes. Wow. Boy, Harry. We think we have had enough tonight. And tomorrow, 6 o'clock, we'll be here to do this all over again. Thank you so much, listeners.
Neighbor, always.
Love coming to you from a distance, from our hearts to yours. Have a fantastic weekend. It's gonna last forever. You and us together. Great. Claudette, Daphne, Gracious Peacock. Come closer. Let's rock a little bit until 10:30. What a fantastic night we have had. We have a document here that is designed to keep the Jamaica Labour Party in power till you get old. People are saying that the PNP must not come back until Jamaica is fixed. Fix Jamaica first. Huh? Makes sense. Wow. God rich is on me. Great night to you. Wow. 4 terms. Wow. I tell you, 20 more years. Labor rights are buoyed and buoyant.
And neighbor.
A lot of berries we're dropping on you tonight before we go, eh? Hi. Hey
Hi.
there. What's
Hi,
happening?
we have a guest.
A guest? Oh,
Yes, sir.
Hi, who is the guest? Hi, good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir. I am Synergy.
You are who?
I am Synergy.
Synergy?
Yes.
Well, great Synergy. You are not Brigadier General?
Yes, sir.
Uh-huh. What's your name? Synergy or Brigadier General?
Synergy Brigadier General.
You have a lot of names. Great night. What's on your mind?
Just sharing my views and my thoughts, and she brought me up.
Come true. Go ahead, man.
No, but what I was saying there basically is that politics has been around since the British has came to Jamaica, and I have not seen any good result for the indigenous, if you want to use that word, or the Aboriginal people of Jamaica. Jamaica is marketed as a brand, and it is only the international sectors and the elites literally benefit from these entities that we have here, not the literal small man within Portland, St. Mary, Trelawney, Westmoreland. They are not literally benefit from these political gains.
My brother, I went to Mandeville earlier this week, and it took me 45 minutes from Old Harbor into Mandeville. My grandmother took 2 weeks on a donkey. What are you talking about? Hello?
Yeah, I'm here.
What are you talking about? Politics not benefiting people.
So you're saying the fact that you have motor vehicles now on the road and donkey took a longer time?
Is politics do it, sir? You know what politics is, sir? Hold on for me, please.
Now let me tell you what journey begins.
There is Harman at 22 after 10 o'clock.
Life direction. You're always there, come sun, come rain.
All right. There's a reason why you have political parties, sir. The political parties practice some amount of politics. Now, politics, there are several definitions, but politics is the art of what is possible, and it coalesces around the world. Okay? There's a definition from Harold that says politics is about who get what, when, and how. That is the simplistic definition of politics. But politics makes things possible. Do you know anything about the history of government, sir?
I have a little knowledge, yes.
That's good. Well, governments exist to create a social structure that harmonizes life. Without government, there would be chaos on earth, you know that.
Governance or government?
Governments. So governments emerges, governments emerges out of politics. There is the Jamaica Labour Party, which is a political party that competes to form the government. They compete with the People's National Party, which is a political party competing to become the arbiters of the social contract that we would enter into with them, where we subvert our powers, our rights to them in exchange for a system that makes us thrive. And then you define government. What is government? We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. They are endowed by their creator with certain unalienable rights, among them the rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Now, that definition is the best definition of government I have heard, but it emerges from politics. So when you say that politics is not benefiting the people, you are a little off, sir.
Okay. But when I look at it, I see politics or government is a system. And the system that is created, or that is in Jamaica, is a colonial system. This was brought from since the British arrived here, from in the 1600s, right? And as I said, it is only benefiting those colonial people. Alexander Bustamante formed his regime, and I think Marcus Garvey formed the PPP.
With the greatest of respect, sir, your views do not have any place in the modern Jamaican society. We're not talking about colonialism now and what that is about. What we are talking about is a future that is emerging for the Jamaican people, that is credited to a set of policies and programs as is being pursued by the Jamaica Labour Party. And there is no question that Jamaica, hold on, sir. There is no question that Jamaica today has advanced from where it was 10 years ago. No question. I just told you that I took 45 minutes to go to Mandeville. That's development, sir. That's development. Okay?
Right,
and if I hold on, sir. Although it will cost me a little toll, but if I am to go to Otorius and I leave Kingston, I can be in Otorius in less than an hour and a half. that is politics. That's
Understand?
development,
Couldn't
sir.
it, couldn't it, yeah,
So
sorry
to
to cut
say,
you.
hold on, to say that it is only benefiting the colonialist is absurd. Because, quite frankly, sir, we received independence in 1962. We are an independent nation. The colonial masters have absolutely nothing to do with the progress that we are to make now. They do not stand in the way. Any enslavement of us is we enslaving ourselves. We don't need to ask Britain nor King Charles whether we must build a road here so or there so, or how much money we must borrow, or how we are to pursue our lives here as Jamaica. We don't need to ask anybody that. We are a sovereign nation. So don't come here with no absurdity, sir. Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm saying, would it be more easier to attack the problem rather than the ricochet? Because in my view, over the years, the political groups are been attacking just the symptoms right across the board. And when you mention about these different roads that are not being properly fixed, you don't need politics. It's only common sense you use that people need road to travel, so you build it. You don't need to tell a man, say, all right, you have to be PMP or JLP before we fix a road. You understand? And this is what been going right across the board, right across Jamaica, from St. Thomas to Negril. It's all about political affiliation.
Well, I don't know what you mean, but I want to thank you for your contribution.
You're welcome.
That Jamaica is making progress under this administration. There is no question that the country is making positive progress. It don't matter how you spin it. It don't matter how you sin it. It don't matter the amount of propagandas, disinformation, misinformation. Numbers do not lie. The country is advancing. The people of Jamaica are better off than they were 10 years ago. They're better off. Our systems have improved. Our infrastructure, we have seen improvements there. The economy has improved. People have more opportunities. There are jobs available that were not available 10 years ago. Our hospitals, our police stations, our fire services. People are getting more pay. Yeah. Our road network have improved. There is hope in the country. We have cut crime. Murders are down. Yes. There is a certain level of decency on the island. Those are undeniable facts. It does not suit some people's agenda. It doesn't suit their agenda because they have a political agenda. Well, I don't have a political agenda. My agenda is Jamaica. Okay? And in Jamaica's interests, in the interest of Jamaica, I say it is important that we focus on continuity. Continuity. I agree with the proposal that them push on my door, that there are to be guard rails built to preserve the gains the country, the gains we have made. They must be guardrails, because our history tells us that governments can be reckless. Good evening to you, sir. Hello.
Hey neighbor, I guess I was invited up here, but I agree with what you're saying. I'm not sure where I got up here.
Okay then. Maybe you were tapping. Have a great night.
All right, brother man.
Don't change it. No, don't change it. Might as well I tell you how the false I've been hiding. At least so long I
All right. That's it for us tonight on this Friday. Okay. Take care of yourselves and
be offended.
catch you 6 o'clock tomorrow as we continue this discussion.
Then
Fantastic. Great night to you, Caroline. Great night to you, Harry. Scratchy anywhere you're there. Big up yourself, brethren.
you see you as a
Have a
queen.
great night, neighbor.
See you later. Going so sweet. Wonderful feeling in my phone. All right.